Happy Easter, everybody. I'm Nola from Serenidad Consulting in the Peace Ranch, and I'm here at the beautiful Southport Yacht Club on the Gold Coast in Australia. It's been a really lovely Easter Sunday for me. I've spent the morning with some neighbours of mine, and shortly I'll be moving from that location, but we decided we'd have a little Easter hunt and a get together for brunch. And I wanted to talk to you about a topic that came up this morning, and it's a little bit in sync with things that have been happening for myself personally and professionally over the last 2.5 years. And I thought it was timely given it's Easter Sunday and we're talking about new beginnings, we're talking about looking at our lives in a different way and being the best that we can be, and how important that is. When I was preparing the barbecue this morning at a communal setting, a little bit like this, where there are a couple of barbecues set up and some tables, I was cleaning the barbecue and one of my neighbours arrived and we had a chat, and then a few more started to come along, and the gentleman that lives a few doors down from me came with his lovely wife, and the very first thing that he said to everybody was, "Well, who's been to church this morning and confessed their sins and now they can be naughty?" And I laughed when I heard that comment, mainly because it's so relevant to how a lot of people live their lives. And after we had all left and we'd enjoyed our brunch, I was driving home and I thought, that's definitely something that I want to talk about today, and in context to some observations that I've made over the last couple of years in relation to some client work that I've done. Fundamentally, it's okay to be good. It's okay to continually do the right thing. It's okay to be professional, to be diligent, to be self-motivating, to be resourceful, to work to achieving 100%, not mediocre 50% or 80%. It's okay to have integrity. It's okay to be honest. It's okay to be diplomatic and tactful. And it's okay to call out injustice and wrongdoing. In No Boxing Allowed, my first book, I challenge the controlling nature of religions. And one of the things that Easter time reveals to us is the need for people to reflect on how they have operated in their lives and the good that they've done, the negative impact that they've had on other people. And when they take that time to reflect, many people will say, I really don't want to do that again. I want to change the way that I am. I want to improve myself. And I advocate in all of my books that people will come to a realization themselves, whether they want to stay as they are, which in the big scheme of things is perfectly okay too, because that's the journey that people are on. Or people can say, they can look in the mirror and they can say, I'm not the best version of myself. How can I do better? And that's the point about what I'm saying. It's okay to be good. When my neighbour mentioned the hypocrisy of people who attend church on a Sunday, and he talked about his Catholic faith and how, you know, he was brought up a good Catholic boy and he'd go to church and he'd confess his sins and then he would be forgiven, and then the next week he'd go out and do all the wrong things. But so long as he went to church on a Sunday and he asked for forgiveness and he said he would, you know, he's done the wrong thing and he admitted, fessed up to what he'd done, that it would all be okay. The slate was wiped clean and he could start all over again. My point that I've always made, and I wrote this specifically in my first book, No Boxing Allowed, is why not just do the right thing? Many years ago, I was with some friends in America, and one of them said, everybody sins, with a rather sort of aggressive tone to the voice. And I sat there, didn't make a comment, and I sat there thinking, no, you're not right. First of all, sin is a label that is given by religions. We're not raised to not sin or to sin. Sin is a word that was created purely to perpetuate the teachings of some religions, and it allowed people to teach you that if you do this or you do that, then that's sinful. So if you don't want to do that, you can do this instead. Or if you choose to not honour the teachings of the Bible, then you're being sinful. So all of that is very much a religious construct. What I talk about in No Boxing Allowed is each human being is unique. We are all blessed with incredible capabilities. How we use those capabilities, how we use our brains, how we interact with other people is all about choice. So our ability to do good is always a choice. Now, some would say, okay, people that have deficiencies, that have mental health conditions, or that have personality disorders, they can't choose their behaviour. Well, I don't agree with that. Everybody has self-control. There is not one human being that is so out of chemical balance that they have no control of what they do. Because in reality, that would not be a scientific foundation that we will want to perpetuate. We actually don't want to see people operating in society who are out of control. We would have brought in regulations and mechanisms to regulate that already. So when somebody is diagnosed as having a chemical imbalance in the brain that causes them to occasionally exhibit behaviours that are wrong, that is what it is, an occasional demonstration of behaviour that is wrong. But ultimately, every individual knows whether what they've done or what they've not done is good or not. I don't believe that we should allow the teachings of religion to influence future generations to say it's okay to be sinful, to do the wrong thing, to be dishonest, to hurt your neighbour, to be mediocre when you could be your best. Now, ultimately, our best is 100%. So if you yourself know that you're lying, that you're cheating, you're being deceitful, you're only giving a little bit of what you could because you're too lazy to give fully, you don't care the quality of the work that you produce, you don't care the impact that you have on other people, you don't care about your own self-dialogue and your own self-esteem. If we actually program into people that that attitude is okay, then what will perpetuate is a self-fulfilling prophecy for so many people, and we will end up with a humanity that is discompassionate, truly selfish above all else, non-entrepreneurial, overly competitive, overly assertive, in other words, aggressive. We will create a humanity that is destructive. So it's up to all of us to be the best version of who we can be. One of my family mentioned to me the other day how, infuriating it was how easy it was and infuriating to that person for other people to be negative and destructive and rude. And I said again, we can't control what other people do. Generally speaking, we are not in control of what other people do and what other people say. The only thing that we can control is what we do and what we say and what we don't do and don't say ourselves. We're in control of ourselves. We're in control of how well or how badly we give to this world and how badly we interact with other people, how we appreciate other people or disrespect other people. Discourtesy towards somebody is as disrespectful to their contribution as you can be. Now, there are circumstances where the nirvana that I'm talking about isn't going to exist. And one perfect example of that is something I saw quite a few weeks ago, where somebody that I had known to be and come to know to be quite a deceitful and cruel and totally manipulative person was seeking to gain my attention. And I ignored that person from a distance. There wasn't an opportunity for that person to have dialogue with me, but I didn't enable there to be sufficient closeness in physical distance for there to be any engagement. And the reason for that was that I had long decided that level of toxic behaviour, that really destructive attitude, was not an energy that I wanted anywhere in my universe. And the interesting thing was, when I held true to my own beliefs and I held true to goodness is good and badness is bad and we should always choose to be good, the resentment that was clearly evident by that person, that I wasn't giving them attention, that I wasn't wanting to engage, there was a look of contempt, a look of resentment, a look of almost like an ego-built need for recognition. And all I could think of inside was how pitiful that person must feel if they wish to impose themselves on me and in my universe, when I have long said, you're in the past, you're part of history. So there are difficult times. It's, being good and being honest and full of integrity and being compassionate and being understanding is at times incredibly difficult to navigate. I do get disappointed when I hear people deny that they've said something. Flat out say, no, never said that. People who don't want to be recorded, who don't want to be held to account for what they've done, not done, said or not said. Don't want to even show they want to make right the wrong. It is terribly difficult at times to navigate life when you're surrounded by people like that. But I hold faith to that one bit of advice that I would give today, and that is, be the best version of yourself, even if everybody else around you is being mediocre and ordinary and rude and unhealthy in their relationships, people who are being unkind. When you're surrounded by negativity and you're surrounded by bad behavior, be the one that stands out because you're good. Because that is how you will be measured at the end of your life as to whether your life has been one of value. The journey to becoming a person that is not founded in ego, that is full of humanity, that is full of goodness and honesty and integrity, is the only path on which, at the end, we will be judged. And I'm talking about divine judgment here. I'm not talking about being judged by other human beings. Every human, including myself and you, we're all flawed. We're not perfect. If we were perfect, we'd reside in heaven. We're all flawed, and we're here to learn certain things, or we're here to impart our knowledge, or we're here to affect change, or we're here to teach. There's a whole bunch of reasons why we're still here. But our personalities are not perfect. Our soul learns through the personality that we hold on this earth in the physical body. At the end of our lives, the judgment will come as to how much we've done for others, how much we have matured as a spiritual being, how much we have given to the wider humanity, how good we are, and how much we've held faith to goodness and honesty and integrity, and doing our best every day under all circumstances. I'd like to leave you with that thought, and I trust that you have a wonderful April. I'm going to have a lovely dinner with some family members tonight, and I look forward to another day off tomorrow. And I wish you well. I hope you have a lovely rest of Easter.